There we go. Everything's working now. So I'm Rachel Ruland with the Roanoke Valley Transportation Planning Organization. This is the fifth and last in a series of chats about transportation equity. This topic is relevant to the RVTPO right now because we are updating our long-range transportation plan, a 20-year plan that gets updated every 5 years, where 5 years falls off and 5 years rolls on. That means there's an opportunity right now for you to provide input on transportation through our survey, and I will share the link to the survey in the comments. So please take the survey and share the survey and encourage your friends and family to take the survey as well. So in the first of these chats, several weeks ago now, historian Jordan Bell set the stage for why public input is so important for transportation equity. He has been studying urban renewal, which was when homes, neighborhoods, cemeteries, churches, and schools were replaced with Interstate 581, wider roads, the Berglund Center, and other development. This happened in Roanoke, but it also happened in cities throughout the nation. And this is why it's so important that citizens take advantage of opportunities for public input today. And we're so happy to have citizen Antwyne Calloway again here to interview staff, not locality staff this time, but the Virginia Department of Transportation and Valley Metro staff about their public input opportunities and how public input is used in decision making. So previously we've heard from the city of Roanoke, Roanoke County, Benton, Salem, and Botetourt County. And I'm going to turn it over to Antwyne now.
Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate that. First, I'd like to give thanks to the Roanoke Valley-Alleghany Regional Commission for allowing this to take place and to have this platform for us to have a very discussion. Throughout my career, working with various nonprofit organizations, we've always seen that transportation is a key aspect of life to making sure that our consumers and our clients can get the services that they need and get to and from where they live, work, and play. So this is a very important conversation, and I'm thankful to have both Dorian and Michael with me. They always say sometimes that, we save the best for last, but truly, I do kind of feel that this is a real true statement. I enjoyed all of our conversations, but when you look at the magnitude of these two providers and the transit services that they provide, and even the maintenance work that is being done, when you think about VDOT, which covers from Botetourt County all the way down to Patrick and Henry County, and goes from Bedford all the way over to Pulaski and Giles, and they cover almost 600,000 citizens. Got all of this off of their website, so if you get a chance, check it out. But that allows the magnitude of the service that VDOT does here in the Roanoke Valley area and covering Southwest Virginia. And then when we talk about Valley Metro, we understand that Valley Metro is one of the largest transit service providers in Southwestern Virginia, if not the largest one. And it actually provides regional services that goes from Roanoke to New River Valley and to Virginia Tech. So as I said, I am thankful to have this opportunity to speak with both Michael and Dorian. And if you don't mind starting off with Michael, can you introduce yourself and give us a brief understanding of what it is that you do with VDOT?
Sure. My name is Michael Gray. I am the district planning manager here at the Salem district. You gave an overview of the district that was fairly thorough, so I don't know that I need to go into that right now. We have a very large district, covers a lot of areas from the urban downtown area of Roanoke and then Blacksburg and Christiansburg, all the way to Giles County and Floyd County, Carroll County, all the way down to Galax. So and we also include Martinsville in there as well. So we cover both the urban and the very rural areas of the state. And I've been doing this for I think with VDOT for about 17 or 18 years. And actually prior to that, I worked there at the Regional Commission where Rachel works for about 7, almost 8 years doing transportation planning there as well.
Wow, thank you, Michael. Glad to hear. It sounds like you have a deep history in doing the work as far as providing transit services and being a very influential person in that. Dorian, if you don't mind, can you describe, allowing everybody to know who you are and what your position is with Valley Metro?
Yes, sir. So good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Dorian Allen. I'm the Director of Transit Planning and Special Projects for the Greater Roanoke Transit Company. We do business as Valley Metro. I started out doing a lot of geospatial information technology work, route optimization, route design. My role here transformed to grant writing, and then just a lot of, I guess, bringing some pieces together. There's times where an organization just needs that one or two pieces in the puzzle that's just going to bring everything together. So I try to serve that role in a number of capacities, including what we're talking about tonight, public engagement, and then just transforming that more into what we expect in terms of how we should be speaking and interacting with the public. So I think a lot of my job now really has to do a lot with public engagement and making sure the public is informed on any and every decision that we make, whether it be internal or whether it be whatever the case may be. I think that's what we're doing right now. That's how my role has evolved. And just getting a lot of people and getting more and more people into transit, knowing what the ins and outs of transit are, how it operates, and then just making sure they have the voice to be able to voice that opinion when the decision making comes down. So,
thank you, Dorian. Appreciate that. And as I stated before, throughout my career, I have a 18-year career of working with different nonprofit organizations, and I did not know the extents of how large the transit system is, and when you're dealing with public transportation, and even speaking about VDOT, just to go back to VDOT for 1 second, and speaking with Michael, a lot of times people are not aware that you all maintain about 9,000, a little bit more than 9,000 miles of road in your territory. But all of that is not highway. So when I used to hear VDOT, I always only thought, oh, VDOT is just a highway. VDOT is a highway. But you all do take on projects and various projects in the urban areas and city areas as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, we administer projects within the city of Roanoke. Typically, the city actually gets to choose which projects they want to try to move forward and attempt to get funding for. But we do administer many of those projects. And like you said, we cover a large area, so it's quite diverse from the urban areas of downtown to the very rural secondary roads that are the vast majority of that mileage that you mentioned.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. And for my first question, I'll begin with Dorian. What opportunities do people have to provide public input in transportation plans and projects?
So to start off, Valley Metro's public outreach activities are coordinated with the Regional Commission, the Roanoke Valley-Alleghany Regional Commission, which staffs the MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization. So we do a lot of our public outreach through them. And throughout that process of engagement, we employ ridership surveys. So just counting the number of people that are getting on and off the buses at certain points, and with what frequency do buses stop at certain stops. We do employee surveys, which leads into more of our internal strategic planning, where we want to be internally in terms of an organization. We do provide general public surveys during a lot of our open houses, and just online throughout our planning documents, the formation of our planning documents. We will have general public surveys about, where people are going, where do they want to go, with what frequency do they want to go, what kind of service do they want to be provided, so on and so forth. So we'll provide those questions throughout our public surveys. We provide public workshops as well. I know during our transit vision plan implementation, and not necessarily implementation, but the initial phases of our transit vision plan, we would have public workshops and focus groups just to see what does transit look like from, the 10,000 foot perspective in the region, making sure we get a mix of professionals as well as people that ride the bus to be able to have input during those planning documents and during that process of creating those planning documents. We also provide open houses. And typically we will provide open houses regarding our operational changes. So for instance, we just went through an entire a few stages of route modifications in which we streamlined our routes. We changed a few stops, but we wanted to make sure that our routes work more efficiently. So we would have, throughout the process, we would give the public a 60-day notice. And throughout that process, we would have opportunities for the public to actually come down to Campbell Court and look at what we're doing, let them know how it affects them. They'll come and ask us questions about some of those operational changes. So we'll able to, have a face-to-face with the public then. So whenever we have operational changes, we would have open houses. We would give the public 60-day notices, and we would have open houses for them to come and discuss whatever issues that they have. And of course, we would have meetings about, like I said, operational changes, route modifications, but it's always an opportunity for the public to come in and voice whatever opinions or voice whatever concerns they have. It's about anything, so even if it's a meeting on route modifications, people will come in and say, I have an issue with this with Campbell Court. I have an issue with maybe employee did this one day to them or whatever, whatever issue they may have, that is an opportunity for them to come in and voice whatever opinion. And we welcome that. We welcome that. We welcome any and every piece of, criticism or opinions or issues that we can get at the time that we can get them. So, because this public input is important to us. It pretty much drives where we want to go as a bus company. So we want to make sure we continue that correspondence in that way as well. We've also increased our Facebook use. Now I know, as I stated earlier, we do a lot of our public outreach through Aardvark, but as of November of 2019, Valley Metro has hired their own transportation planner. So we're able to do a lot of that in-house communication with the customers. And a lot of that deals with increasing our social media footprint. And as we increase that footprint, we get a lot of correspondence with our customers through Facebook, and we're able to, communicate with them that way. So almost like meeting people where they are. If you can't come down to Valley Metro to let us know, if you can't, call us up for whatever reason, but you can hit us up on Facebook, then we'll be able to correspond with you in that way.
That's great. That's great. Appreciate you allowing us to know that. And I've attended quite a few of those open houses, and I will say that I've seen Kevin Price there with Valley Metro. I've seen him there in the corner on the side having a discussion with particular individuals that are part of the community that may have wanted to voice concerns of other levels. So when you say that, I can acknowledge, that I've seen the work that Valley Metro has done to make sure that they are listening to the riders and those individuals that use the service. So, but appreciate you allowing us to know that and giving us some feedback on that. And Michael, I'm
sorry, I don't want to take up too much time, but I do want to give a plug for a new initiative that we've started recently.
Oh, you hold on. I think I know what plug you probably gonna give, and I'm just going. Does it have Go in the end? Is it like VM Go? Is that it?
No, sir. It's still dealing with public input and how we interact with the public.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Oh,
Michael, so you still there with us? Hold on, because Michael looks frozen. So I don't know. Is Michael still there with us?
I'm here. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Oh no, we have you frozen, so that's a good thing.
We hear you. So recently, Valley Metro has commenced with our pretty much the Roanoke Valley's Transit Passenger Advisory Committee. So this group serves as the Citizen Advisory Committee for transit-related initiatives within the region and is comprised of representatives and members of the public who are interested in participating in the transportation planning process. And of course, these members, they represent many different interests. Of course, we have members from area localities, but we also have members that represent interests anywhere from people that ride people from Virginia Tech, or students that ride, our SmartWays, or people down at Carillion or Lewis Gale that ride our buses, or we have a disabled representative. So we have somebody that represents the disabled interest of transit riders in the area. So, and this diverse group of members, they provide the GRTC board of directors with, insight into local communities and help them to form the landscape by acting as the voice for the public opinion related to general transportation issues. So that's a major step forward that we have made in terms of how we interact with the public and how the public has the opportunity to be a part of the transit planning process in the area. So I think that's something that, we need to be able to get out there as much as possible and let people know that they have that opportunity to either be a part of the group or either have some kind of avenue to which they can be a part of that process in general. So that TPAC committee meets about monthly or every 2 months. And a lot of the times we will put that information up on the website. Our website has become one of the main areas in which we interact with the public as well. When we put information about transit documents, about upcoming meetings, then we'll put that on the website as well. But we're doing a lot of things to try to move forward when it comes to interacting with the public and having them have meaningful input in this process.
I appreciate that information right there, Dorian. And Michael, for question number one that we had, the same question, what opportunities do people have to provide public input on transportation plans and projects that involve VDOT?
Okay, well, I don't know if we have enough time to address them all, but I'll try to. I mean, like I said, we address or we plan for and deal with a lot of roads around our district. And we're dealing with anything from, say, maintenance type issues where, this time of year we may get calls about cleaning out a ditch with leaves in it or something, all the way up to, things that are happening in Roanoke City or Roanoke County on some of the major thoroughfares, or, something that's happening on the interstate as well. I would kind of break it down into, when we're doing planning work. We recently did a plan for 460 in the city of Roanoke, all the way out to alternate 220. One of the things we did there is we had a public meeting actually before the coronavirus shutdown, but we had a meeting back in the fall of last year where we worked with Roanoke City and Roanoke County. VDOT held the meeting there at the Civic Center. We had pretty good turnout. It was a pretty good turnout for that corridor, but the vast majority of the comments and input we received was actually online. And we've just recently started using various tools, and the shutdown with coronavirus has actually sped that up a little bit. Where we in the past, if we received 100 comments at a public meeting or through mail-in surveys, we would think that was a pretty good response. For that study in particular, I think we were up into the 900s, maybe over 1,000 responses, combining the public meeting we had, live, where we were talking to folks, as well as the online survey that we did. So we're starting to learn a little bit more about using those types of tools, and that's kind of an example on the planning end of things where we're working with a locality. In that case, was Roanoke City and Roanoke County, and Roanoke County, and I think the city as well, both did outreach to their public, that lived along that corridor, and let them know about the opportunity for the survey, as well as the public meeting. So both the public meeting and the survey was I thought very well attended and used. If we get into our a 6-year program, and that's where we actually take a project and give it money to try to move forward and get constructed. We do that basically twice a year. We have a fall meeting where we're talking with folks about projects that have been identified from the various localities around the state and the regional groups as well, that are moving forward, that are priorities of some sort. We have a meeting in the fall, and we also have a meeting in the spring that precedes the CTB, the Commonwealth Transportation Board, actually making their decisions on giving projects money. So that's something every year we do that. So in the past, we've had, we have folks that know exactly what's going on, so they'll come out to those meetings and voice their concern. And typically there's someone, from the district there, like our district administrator, as well as someone from the commissioner's office and some of our executive level folks there, and as well as our CTB member that they can talk to about, what they think about various projects that are moving forward. Once you get a project funded, we do another round of public involvement that we're actually required to do. Is once we start designing a project, say if we're well, actually the interstate project that's going on right now out there, in Roanoke County, near 581, headed southbound, or south of that is actually southbound and northbound. That is, once we designed that project, we had to hold another public meeting. So there's various levels of public involvement that we offer to the public, and actually, the localities get engaged in that as well. But there's opportunities at the planning end, there's opportunities at where the funding decisions are made, and there's all additional opportunities there at the design and before the project actually moves to construction. So there are a lot of opportunities. We're always willing to take phone calls from folks as well. We get phone calls into our residency offices around the district. We get phone calls into the district office itself about various issues. And we just try to respond to them in a timely manner. But I think the biggest thing that we're learning right now, and I think Roanoke County, Roanoke City would chime in on this as well, is using these different tools online are really reaching a lot more of the public that we did not reach in the past. So that's an exciting, looking at the future, that's an exciting piece of how we're going to be reaching out to folks. So we'll continue to do face-to-face meetings when we can. Right now there's a little shutdown on that. But looking forward in the future, we'll continue to do public meetings, as well as try to expand the opportunities and tools that are available for us to do stuff online.
I appreciate that, Michael, and I do appreciate both of you gentlemen giving us detailed ways and allowing those that actually look at this video and get a chance, and then maybe with us on Facebook Live, allowing them and describing to them the many ways that they can actually reach you all. So I'm glad that both of you all went into great detail and gave us some real detail about, sometimes people think that the efforts are not being done, or a project has just been done in a vacuum. And over the last few weeks, they've come to, I'm sure viewers have come to realize that there's a lot of collaboration that goes on between everyone in these localities. And for you all to give us such a great detail of other ways that the actual riders and the residents of our communities can actually contact you all, I appreciate you all going into great detail. Michael, just to follow up on with question number 2. Do you mind telling us about public input that initiated, halted, or substantially changed a transportation project or plan?
Okay, I think I can give you a couple examples here, and both of them are fairly recent. I don't want to go back too far in the past because things have changed over time, but we're doing an environmental impact statement effort. It's a study that we're doing. It's a federal requirement for Route 220 down below Martinsville. So basically from 220 just south of Martinsville all the way down to the state line there where it goes into North Carolina. We're doing a study there to look at different alternatives to building a roadway. We looked at improving the existing 220. Then we looked at could we go to the east or could we go to the west? So we had a lot of alternates on the map. So we had different ways you could do that, and we had some public involvement on that. We had actually a very big turnout down there. I think we had close to 200 people show up at a public meeting, and then we had a subsequent meeting after we narrowed those down to really 3 routes that went to the west of existing 220 there. And the public came out, the local elected officials came out, and we didn't only hear from those people at the second public meeting, but we had follow-up conversations with them as well. And some of the public, especially in this one area where one of these routes was going to go near, they had some concerns about how that would impact their community. And we worked with them, and we worked with the local government down there to try to see, how could we make changes and still stay within the federal environmental guidelines that kind of guide that process. And I feel like we're still in that process, but we made some tweaks and we made some minor changes that I think the public would probably appreciate the work that we did to help try to, understand their concern and then try to make some changes to the project to help deal with that concern. So that's one example. We're still working through that, and there hasn't been a final approved at this point, but we're continuing to have public involvement through that effort as well. We weren't able to have a public meeting because we were going to have a third one, but we ended up doing more of an online version of that and have a kind of an open comment period for, actually it's been a couple months. So we were able to take those folks' concern and I think do something with it to the positive. So another example is, I don't know if many people realize that we're doing this one, but where the Appalachian Trail crosses 311, a little bit to the north of Roanoke, over the years, that location right there at the crest of the mountain has been a concern for a lot of folks. It's pretty uncomfortable to park on one side and then cross over with folks traveling through there at fairly high speed. There was an opportunity that came up with some special type funding that we were able to work with the Park Service, U.S. I don't think it was U.S. Park. It was the Park Service, and then Roanoke County, and then the Appalachian Trail Association as well. And we ended up being able to get money for a project that would put a pedestrian bridge across the crest of the mountain there where the AT goes across. And we have done something similar to what I was talking about with the 460 project, where we had an online meeting, because this was back in the spring, and we had an online meeting where we got a lot of information from the public about the various things that are going on up there, how to access it. We weren't able to make a lot of changes because that was very tight on the budget, but were able to make some minor changes to that project as well that helped address issues that the public had, but also the county and the Park Service had. That as we moved through that project, we realized that the team there wanted different things, and we listened to the public and what they had to say about it. Then we had to kind of come back and look at our budget and understand that we didn't have an opportunity to get more money, so we had to figure out ways to make changes within the budget we had. So some of the things that were being tossed around were very good ideas, but they weren't things that could necessarily fit into that budget. So we're still able to move forward with a very good, I think, product out there. I think that people will be very, very happy with the bridge once it gets done, because it will, allow you to cross 311 there without having to cross on the surface of the road itself. So I think that's another project that we've heard public involvement, but not only public involvement, but input from various stakeholders from the federal level all the way to the local level.
Wow, appreciate it, Michael. And yeah, it always comes to that challenge of the budget when we get the public input of the things that we want versus what the budget allows. So I'm glad you kind of mentioned that. Dorian, the same question. Can you tell us about public input that initiated, halted, or substantially changed a transportation project?
So
plan?
One thing I can speak of off top, I deal a lot with bus stop improvements in the area. So I can tell you with our rider surveys, that does a lot to let us know where riders are coming in and out, with what frequency, as I stated earlier. It just lets us know what the activity is. And a lot of that is done through our NTD data collection, which we also do with the Regional Commission. And it's really designed for, to support local, state, and regional planning and other decision makings throughout the area. Of course, it contains a lot of knowledge, in terms of like inventories of vehicles and things of that nature, but it's also used to count passengers and be able to have that data on hand. First off, that deals a lot with the funding that we receive. It is predicated a lot on receiving our 5307 funding, which is the urbanized area funding formula. Also 5311 through our rural formula program, which are FTA funded funding mechanisms that we get a lot of funding through. Valley Metro does. So it goes a lot into how much money we get, what type of funding we would get and things of that nature. So I think our ridership data does a lot to really formulate what our funding looks like and what funding avenues that we decide to pursue. Also, the surveys, the NTD surveys goes into a lot of other projects that we take information from and we make our decisions based on. Notably, our bus stop activity index, and like I said, that just gives us an idea of where people are going, where they're stopping, and with what frequency. So whenever we do decide to make any kind of bus stop improvement, say a new shelter, a landing pad, whether it be benches, other amenities in the area, we would have a justification pretty much to let us know, where and why should we have this shelter here or the shelter in another spot. We want to make sure that we have our assets in places where they're going to be utilized the most. So we use our NTD data to make sure that we're tailoring our assets and tailoring our funding to the proper places throughout the region. Our general public surveys, they work twofold when it comes to what we do in terms of our planning documents, notably the transit development plan. So the surveys used in the initial phases of the plan to gauge what works, what doesn't work in terms of our transit operations and overall footprint. But that then goes into an implementation plan of how do we get that information, or how do we get those recommended changes in our transit operations implemented, and with what funding mechanisms can we pursue those initiatives. So our public input really goes into how we're formulating our planning documents, and our planning documents really formulate how we operate as an agency. So that public input is essential in how we continue to operate, how we move forward, and how we continue to provide the best, most efficient services that we can provide to our customers. And I would say just public input, just in general, it also, I guess understanding that, where we need to go and what we need to do in the future kind of drives, I would say, morale in the agency. And just, I know it's not a plan, I know it's not, but it's how an agency, runs, moving forward or whatever. And I think knowing where we ought to be and knowing that, our customers are with us, and, knowing that, people, they come to us pretty much every day and tells us, I rely on public transit every single day, or this is my livelihood right here. This is where I get to the grocery store. This is where I get, to, shopping. This is where I get to medical appointments. So understanding that really gets us moving in the direction, just organizationally, in a way that really focuses on the real reason why we're in this in the first place. The real reason why we're, in transit and we strive to provide transit is that people rely on us every single day, and we get that input every single day. And that's really what just drives just the morale and the attitude of the people that work here, that public input, and just having that constant reminder that there's a lot of people that rely on us, and there's a lot of people that need us every single day to be tip-top shape and to be the best that we can. So, I know the crux of your question was just about plans and about projects and whatnot, but it's an entire agency thing when you talk to these people and you understand how important it is. That's kind of what makes us get up in the morning and come to work and want to put our best foot forward. So, I mean, that's just essential. That's what drives us.
I agree 100%. I think we couldn't said it better or stated it any better. I will say that it really highlights, and we're coming to the end of that, to the end of our discussion, but it really truly does highlight from what both of you have said, being two of the largest transit providers, and as far as Valley Metro being the one that maintains all of the roads in Southwestern Virginia, and basically and then Valley Metro servicing such a large area as it does, that it really says the importance of community, the residents, the individuals getting out, making their input heard. At the last question that we usually have does involve about how did the public input make a change? If there's anybody out there listening or anybody that watches this, if you don't think that your input is making a change, you're wrong. Today, you have an opportunity to see that your input does make a change in all of the planning. It's not done in a silo, and your voices are being heard. So on that note, I'd like to say, and looking at both websites from VDOT and Valley Metro, you all have a lot of great projects that are going on. You all are doing a lot of great work for the community. My hat's off to both of you gentlemen and to your agencies and the organizations for the work that they do. My hat is off to the localities that have already been on, that have been a part of these discussions. It has been a great opportunity for me to learn a lot, and I'm thankful for having both of you gentlemen on and all of those that have attended and been a part of this.
We thank you for
Thank you,
having.
Antwyne.
Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Antwyne. And every single one of these little chats, I feel like, is my favorite. So, and this was no exception. So it's been so interesting learning about all the different localities and agencies that we've heard from throughout the whole month. So if any of the viewers, if you missed any of the chats, you could follow the link that's posted in this chat to see that will take you to a page where you can watch any of the videos. Also, check out the links in this chat to the Valley Metro website and the VDOT Salem District. And of course, there's a link to the survey. Again, I want to remind you to take the survey, share the survey, and encourage your friends and family to take the survey. And I want to thank the viewers. Of course, I want to thank Dorian and Michael and Antwyne. Everything you've done this month has just been really great. And I've really enjoyed this project. So
Yes, sir. Yeah.
thank you all so much. And
thank y'all. Come see us at valleymetro.com. Come see us at Facebook. Come talk to us. We want to talk. Come talk to us. We love to chat.
Yes. Thank you.